Good evening again, once again. Pink Visuals with Creative Insight TV, and we're joined by today.
Laurie Lyle of Aftv and DR Sports.
Oh, wonderful. Nice to have you with us. So, what do you think about the fight, and who do you think is going to win?
Right, so the main fight, Dan Azeez versus Joshua Buatsi. Great fight. I've got to admit a little bit of bias because myself and Dan Azeez are good mates. We've known each other for quite a long time now. I go and watch his fights regularly. And he's done really well. I mean, he started off as, Southern Area champion, then he became British champion and European champion. And now he's got this massive fight against Joshua Buatsi. He's obviously a very talented fighter, former Olympic bronze medalist.
Definitely.
Very good amateur, former British champion as well. So, listen, man, it's going to be a great fight. I guess the bookie's favourite will be Joshua Buatsi.
Yeah.
But for me, and this is absolutely no disrespect to Joshua Buatsi because I like him a lot, but I've got to root for my man Dan, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to speak that into existence. I'm hoping he gets a win.
And that's amazing to hear.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, man.
They're both undefeated, so it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dan's had roughly about the same fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's very good on the knockouts as well.
Yeah, he is.
Catches you in that third round, so you got to be careful.
And the thing about Dan is, what I love about him is, I think he would admit that when he started as a pro, he wasn't expected to go this far.
Yeah.
So you could argue that he's already overachieved. And to watch his journey has been amazing. And every time a challenge has been put before him, he's risen to the challenge and overcome it. So I'm hoping that'll be the same this time. However, I do think Joshua Buatsi is the real deal. So whoever wins this fight is going to deserve it. Because
Well, he's got Anthony Joshua behind him, hasn't he?
yeah, that's a good look. That's a good look. But Joshua can't fight for him in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not been doing too great lately, has he? I'm a Nigerian guy, but you know, it is what it is.
Are you Niger as well? Yeah. It's interesting because Dan's obviously Niger heritage, and Joshua Buatsi was born in Ghana.
Yes,
So you got that West African
that West African,
rivalry.
going on between the Ghanaians and the Nigerians. But at the end of the day, it's all about who's the better fighter and who's trained well enough and prepared themselves for the fight, basically.
Yeah, you're so right because, listen, both of them are talented. It's going to come down to preparation, who's the best prepared physically and mentally. It could even come down to, on the night, who's more mentally sound. You know what I mean? It could be one of them.
And you got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it could be small margins because one thing I know about Dan, both of them, they're both going to give it their all. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to be there.
And I'm going to, hopefully. And they're both friends, aren't they? So that makes it a bit more tricky because obviously they probably sparred together quite a number of times.
Yeah, they are friends and they've done a lot of round sparring together. But sometimes...
That doesn't define it all the time, does it?
Because I box myself, and I know that sometimes in sparring, for whatever reason, you may not be at your best and the other guy is. He may be in better physical shape than you because he's preparing for a fight, whereas you're not, so you might have that little mental edge. But it does mean that they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But it kind of levels it out, though, because, you know what I mean, they know each other well, so it's the same for both. So, you know what I mean?
Well, because you've been a fighter before in your life, what do you think is like one of the main things that you've learned from being a fighter?
Well, that's a good question. I wasn't a pro. I was a decent amateur, not as good as these guys. But it's a tough sport, man. Very hard sport. Physically, you got to be at your best. Mentally, you got to be on top of your game, and you've got to be able to motivate yourself to keep going day after day. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the main things. You've got to be able to each day get up, do your running, do your training, take your licks in sparring and stuff.
Take your defeats.
Take your defeats when they come and keep pushing on. Yeah, so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Who's your all-time greatest fighter?
Oh, it's got to be Muhammad Ali, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, I used to get out with my dad, and even them times, we weren't able to watch a lot of his fights on TV, not live anyway.
Yeah.
So my dad used to get up in the early hours of the morning, and he used to have his radio on, and I used to get out of bed and listen to it with my dad.
With bated breath.
Yeah. So Yeah, that was like my entry level into boxing through my dad watching Ali and Foreman and Fraser and all them, man. And obviously, I just loved the sport, and it went from there. Yeah.
It's very good. So what do you think the future of boxing is?
Well, you know what? Actually,
Especially in the UK.
yeah, I mean, as you know, there's MMA now, UFC, and a lot of people say that that's rivalry to boxing. But to me, boxing will always be the best combat sport. Although I do like UFC and MMA as well. But I think the boxing's future is solid, but obviously it depends on people like these guys, Dan Azeez and Joshua Buatsi, carrying the sport forward, being good role models. So I think, yeah, boxing's in good hands. Boxing's in good hands.
And it's not just like a, you know, come and watch the fight and everyone goes home. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of preparation, a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of just, you know, a lot of people in the background as well. Big up to everybody who helps prepare the boxers for the fights and who helps to put the whole organization together, like, you know, the ringside people, you know, everybody that's involved. Pick up yourselves. So, just to close off, what do you think is going to be one of the major things that this fight is going to bring to the community? Because I know that Croydon has been going through a lot of stuff lately, and these kind of events kind of bring everyone together. What do you think of that in terms of the community?
That's a great point, because in relation to that Croydon incident, when I heard about that, I've got to be honest, man, I was emotional, because I've got kids myself, and when I heard about that, that was shocking. That should never happen, you know what I mean? And the only good thing that can arise from things like that is that the community can come together. Especially the black community, we need to come together more and just show more love to each other, show more respect to each other. And what these guys are doing here through sport, they're showing that people can come together, you know what I mean? And you saw the evidence of that today, you know what I mean? So
there's been such a vibe tonight. I mean, I've just loved to see everybody together, you know, talking about the sport, talking about, you know, just generally the area, and everybody enjoying themselves, vibing to the music, which has obviously got a major part in the boxing, because obviously all the fighters always sort of set themselves up with music to kind of get themselves ready for the fight. And even when they're training. So it's just like the whole thing coming together and sort of like coming together today, it's been an amazing event. And it's been lovely to have you here with us.
Oh, thank you, man, thank you. You know what, you articulated that so well.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely spot on. Music, sports. The good things about those two concepts is it brings people together. And when we had an incident like what happened in Croydon the other day, hopefully people can rally around that and bring more people together and move forward, you know what I mean? So,
and hopefully bring the men together a bit, and the ladies too, if they want to get into the boxing for a bit more discipline.
Absolutely, man. Listen, boxing is great for that. Because if you're preoccupied with training and boxing and fighting and all the rest of it, you've got a lot less time for all the other BS going on in the world.
Because you have to be there for training.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, nice one.
Thank you for being with us today.
Right,
It's been lovely to have you.
Shout out to JV Sports. Respect.